Hi guys, everybody. Welcome to the show. We are live on Immigration Radio on episode one. My name is Sahil, and I'll be your host on the show today. Guys, you've all seen our videos related to Canadian immigration multiple times, and this is the first time we are bringing a dedicated episode, trying to bring immigration updates not only from Canada but also from the world to you almost every day. um, our goal will be to come live at 12 p.m. Toronto time, between Monday and Friday. Why Toronto is because we are living in Toronto. I am here in Toronto. I am a regulated Canadian immigration consultant, and I am practicing here in Toronto. My office is here. Apart from giving you regular updates, we also have our consulting firm here. So, just in case if you ever need any help with your immigration updates or your immigration applications, we'll be ready and we'll be more than happy to discuss your cases going forward. Our details of our contact details will be there in the description box, also in the bio links as well. Before we move further, my hearty request, please do follow our channel. Our immigration journey is always there on all the social media handles. We are there on TikTok, we are there on Instagram, also on YouTube. We've been on YouTube since 2019, I believe. But yes, always excited to talk to you about immigration. But specifically to the updates, guys, Canadian immigration is on the agenda today. So, talking about what exactly we will be discussing today. Today's video is going to be extremely special because we will be talking about the latest immigration updates, our beloved express entry, the table, the PNPs as well. Also, we will be talking about how Canada is being impacted by the world. That's a second segment. We will be talking about any news in Canada that directly or indirectly affects Canadians, permanent residents, temporary residents in Canada. That's going to be the dedicated news that we will be talking about. The third segment will be about world immigration specifically. So, world immigration, we will talk about immigration except Canada, right? So, might have US, UAE. We've had requests from people talking about EU, European Union. Then we'll talk about UK and all the other countries. The last segment is going to be very special. We will talk about um, our special report. Today's special report is focusing on the conservative style of leadership. We will talk about what to expect, what can happen, and what is the conservative government planning to introduce, because this is the electoral season that is going on. And but obviously everybody is interested to see how the future of Canadian immigration will shape out if the Canadian government, the conservative government, comes into power. So yes, that is going to be the special flavor towards the end. And not to forget, we will also talk about questions, and we will take questions, so you can keep on commenting in the section below on the comments. We will try our best throughout the video. We will take questions and answers, and we will try to answer all of them live on the channel today. So, starting off with the first segment. The first segment, guys, is Canadian immigration. Lots of updates coming your way in Canada at the moment. So, guys, if you dedicatedly talk about Canadian immigration, the express entry pool has finally been impacted by um, the change or the removal of express entry points. To be more precise, Canada had planned a removal of the arranged employment points. The arranged employment points did include points from an LMIA or without an LMIA, basically positions including LMIA exempt positions, for example, intra-company transfer or any other positions. IRCC has decided to do away with those, and that has had a direct impact on the express entry pool. What kind of an impact, if you ask me, is that a total of 3,000 or 37,170 files have been impacted directly by removal of these job offer points, primarily affecting in the high 400s and low 500s. Specifically, the calculation depicts towards almost 1,000 files which had almost 200 plus point job offer. So the specific 00 NOC code, so that has been impacted. And during the gap in the draw, so let me see if I can bring up the the pool on the screen for you. Just give me a quick second. Mm, 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 mm. Yes. So, guys, if you look at the pool as of today, this is the pool as of April the 13th of 2025. Now, we had a PNP related draw on April the 14th. We will talk about the draw as well. But right now, you're sitting at 244,282 people. Guys, just to give you a ballpark understanding of this particular pool, this is still on a higher side. We were expecting that people, after removal of those 200 points or 50 points, we might see a lot of profiles expiring and whatnot. Despite those profiles and everything going away, this is still on a higher number. But what's interesting to see is that despite removal, between 600 and 1200, we still have 816 people. Between 501 and 600, we still have almost 19,782. And between 491, 12,093 people. But what's interesting to see here is that um, the removal of those job offer points, because it was a drop either of 50 points or 200 points, the bottom sections have now been flooded. If you look at profiles between 301 and 350, almost 1500 files as compared to the previous one have been added. Between 0 and 300, almost 2500 additional files, and 401 to 450, almost 5814 files. This is a material impact of how removal of those points have been affected. So during all in all, I would say the gap in draw 7,300 and 7,373 people have been added in the pool. But not to forget, it looks like that the removal of those LMIA or the arranged deployment points has not had a key impact as what people were expecting. Okay, we still have almost 19,000 people sitting above that score. So people were expecting that if the draw goes away, or if, say for example, the points are removed, we might see a sub 500 draw anytime soon. The bad news is that you're not expecting a sub 500 draw, at least immediately. um, if IRCC continues to hold 6,500 plus draws, which we used to hold in the year 2024 and 2023, that draw size, if that continues to happen, then of course, yes, you can expect some, some relief in the summer or probably around the fall. But not to forget, the draw capacity of Canadian experience class only is also not as much as it was in 2023 or 2024. Because of the immigration levels plan, the quota of immigration levels in terms of 2023 2025 has gone down drastically, and so has been there has been an impact on the PNP candidates as well. But yes, I would say you should not be expecting a sub 500 draw anytime soon. It may happen if the IRCC decides to hold a category specific and whatnot. But yes, removal of the arranged employment points could definitely have an impact on the categories that we are waiting to see. Today is what, Thursday, April the 17th. We are expecting a draw. At least I am expecting a draw today. If so happens, while we are talking right now, also this could. Let me see if there is a draw. No, there is no. There's no draw as of now. But yes, if a draw happens today, that will set the tone of the times to come ahead. Okay. Next up is obviously the PNP draw that happened previously on April the 16th. I think the internet is stable now. I'm back. Yes. Perfect. We are facing some issues with Roger's internet. That's the one that I have here. I'm sorry about the inconvenience. We're trying to get this fixed, but yeah, looks like Canada is still living in the primitive ages of internet. Well, Indian people using Geo internet would not be so much used to facing such internet lags, but in Canada we still do. Anyways, there was an express entry draw earlier this week. This was a PNP specific only draw. Total of 825 invitations went through. We did post that particular draw, and the minimum CRS required was kept at 764. Surprisingly, the despite and this was the first time we realized that this was the post LMIA arranged employment job removal draw, and people were expecting this to drop as well. But as we already know that PNP draws would not be impacted by removal of arranged employment points. So that goes without saying that PNP draws would not be materially affected by that, right? Guys, another big news coming in from the province of British Columbia. Now, British Columbia has had its own toughs with the Canadian government, and they have recently gone out in the open. They have put up a news article as well. Let me just bring it up on the screen for you to view. This is the one that I'm talking about. This particular news article uh, was published on April the 14th, and this clearly talks about the British Columbia government facing its own troubles with regards to the numbers. Earlier, they said they had requested 11,000 spots with the federal government. Um, and for the new PNPs of the year 2025. This is what we're talking as of last year. But because the PNP quotas were slashed down by all the provinces, so that affected the British Columbia province as well. Fast forward to today, British Columbia says, BCPNP says, we now have approximately 4,000 spots available with regards to the allocation has been dropped from 8,000 to 4,000. Instead of going up from 8,000 to 11,000, which they had requested initially, it has gone down to almost 4,000. And because the last year's carry forward of the application, the quota built up is already there, so BCPNP says we don't have any more spots. That brings us to the situation that in the year of 2025, British Columbia is expected to hold 1,100 new PNP spots only, which will be accepted in the year 2025. And that too will be focused specifically on healthcare roles like doctors, nurses, and other critical workers. So, with this particular news, it clearly tells us that BCPNP is technically or in principally not available for people outside that. They might want to hold a couple of draws here and there to other NOC codes as well, which we will see as the time progresses. So BCPNP is not any more lucrative as of today. That's an unfortunate news. People who are already there, because BCPNP also launched its latest changes to the PNPs. In fact, this was the first year when they decided to launch their upgraded programs on Masters PNP, PhD PNP, and all of that. But unfortunately, BC has been forced to put back on their, to hold back on their plans because the federal government has decided to reduce their quotas. And BC says that this will severely affect its retention with regards to skilled professionals and to meet the workforce demands. That is something that will happen eventually over the time to come, which is not so good news. Saskatchewan PNP. So, guys, coming over to Saskatchewan specifically, Saskatchewan PNP has done its magic in terms of attracting people once again. Last year, I believe they had done that in terms of attracting construction workers out of the blue suddenly. And now they have started their campaign of attracting American physician recruitment campaign. The launch date of this program, let me just bring it on the screen for you to quickly read through. Yes, this one. So the launch date is April the 9th, 2025. They are doing that in partnership with the Saskatchewan Healthcare Recruitment Agency, SHRA. The target audience is going to be the US physicians, showcasing Saskatchewan as an ideal place to practice. The key benefits will be competitive compensation, lower cost of living, and a work life balance. Um, and additional highlights will be to focus on an uncertainty of the US political climate. And this, typically tells me that everybody is trying to focus on the latest era of Trump administration. The world is already looking at it. The people are, facing a brunt of it. which clearly tells us that people are trying to escape US to the best of their efforts, um, which is what we have covered in today's latter half of the video as well. Another important Mark Carney update. Guys, Mark Carney has pledged to boost Francophone immigration outside Quebec for 12%, to 12%. Now, they are trying to do it, but my question to this government is that how long is Mark Carney going to be in power? Right now, the tussle between the conservative government and the liberal government is on an all-time high. Mark Carney, on one hand, is being accused with several issues, which would include his company moving to Cayman Islands, and then him not disclosing his personal funds, a lot of his involvement in the 2008 recession, how he acted and what he claims, tons of things. So this special report will be coming in tomorrow. So tomorrow's special segment will be dedicated to liberal government, Mark Carney campaign, and today in the last segment we will be talking about the conservative government as well. So today we will cover conservative government, their plans, agendas, and everything that we have known so far in the end. So you might want to stick around till the end. That's going to be very, very interesting. Okay, so um, another decline in the newcomers choosing Canadian citizenship. This is the figure as per the Statistics Canada. They have decided to display this on their own website. It says number of people, high income and post secondary education. So this is the citizenship. If you look at the graph, overall is declining. People, as they cite that what are the reasons why newcomers are not becoming Canadian citizens. These are the couple of things that have been put up. One is pandemic. Around pandemic impact, people have said that they don't believe that government will be able to sustain this, which we don't know because recession is already around the corner. The Canadian government is already facing economic challenges. This report was old, but we fast forward to 2025, we are already witnessing that Canada is facing economic challenges. When Trump decided to do away with the exports and imports, obviously by putting in tariffs, the economy started crippling. The auto industry is already facing a lot of brunt. The GM plant in Ontario has been shut down or put on hold, at least for now. The housing crisis is on an all-time high. The devalued citizenship is something that is what people are not finding it attractive. Choice between Chinese assets. A lot of Chinese people are not, taking up Canadian citizenship because they have a tussle between owning their Chinese assets or getting the citizenship. Um, China and India both do not allow dual citizenship. Hence, the fight between that dual citizenship is taking over. CRA has a very high tax scrutiny or oversight on high net worth individuals. So that is also one of the major reasons why people are facing or people are choosing not to take up citizenship on an all-time high, and also less focus on Canadian history and values. This is something that people are not celebrating being Canadian as much as Americans celebrate being Americans a lot. So if you look at the pride of how Americans are proud of them being as Americans, we don't see that much of a um, encouragement or a proud moment that people generally showcase on social media. I believe this is something that we can talk about at length, do more research in one of our special segments in the times to come, but trying to see what kind of a showcase or proud moment people share when they get their citizenship. So that is something that we can definitely have a look on. Now, guys, it is time for the next segment. The next segment is international affairs. All right, perfect. So, Canada and the world, this is very important to see how Canada, the Canadians, permanent residents and citizens, and obviously temporary residents in the country, are being affected by or the dealings across the globe. So, how Canada gets impacted by those dealings, which could be as simple as relations with US. First off the boat, surge in Americans who are trying to come to Canada. surge in Americans who really have citizenship by descendants. So we already know that a lot of American citizens have had their relationships, for example, their grandparents or parents from Canada when they did not focus on getting that citizenship. Because of the Trump administration, people are trying to flee US on an all-time high. They're trying to at least get their backup plans ready so that they can be in a safe haven if things do not go right in their own country, which appears to be that America. America at the moment is obviously at the time of at the brink of recession. This is what economists are suggesting. So we already have a lot of people who are trying to explore their avenues in how they can come to Canada. Americans trying to come here, right? Fear of the US political climate is obviously there on an all time high. Canada's support for lost Canadians is obviously there. Humanitarian applications or the other past relationships, if they are able to revive, they can definitely claim their citizenships. Increased legal inquiries with the legal teams here in the country, that is all suggesting. And this particular news is as suggested on CTV News. So this is a coverage by CTV News. Let me just bring it up on the screen. So CTV News says that not feeling safe, growing numbers of Americans seek citizenship, Canadian citizenship. This is interesting. People trying to go to their safe havens as long as they can. So yeah, I'm not surprised. Next particular understanding is that Holland College, along with other colleges in Canada, has decided to drop a couple of courses, and this clearly says that 83% decline is projected in the international student enrollment caused by federal caps. Holland College in Canada has decided to suspend 8 programs. Guys, this is big, and this is not just Holland College. We've seen layoffs, massive layoffs happening in Seneca, Humber, Sheridan, campuses shutting down all over the GTA. And this is just GTA, right? If you look at around the country, the uh, the designated learning institutions are trying all their best to avoid any cash crunch, avoid any unnecessary costs. Financial impact is heavy. The government is not supporting them. The requirement of PAL, the cap on international students. I remember reading this report. There is approximately 60% drop in new student enrollments or other interest in applications, study permit applications. Not only that, the government accepted that the fall or the decline in the number of applications is higher than what the Canadian government was expecting. So apparently, the bad news or the impact of these caps and federal bans and whatnot has spread so widely like a wildfire that people are now choosing not to apply. And this is beyond the expectations of the people who were deciding to apply, including India, China, and the other countries. And I believe these things would be happening with other countries, like for US as well. I am in touch with one of my friends who's a US attorney, and I've had that people are not choosing to go for um, you know uh, the US F1 visas as well as much as they used to. Like they're waiting to see what comes around next. Guys, the Canada's next government must address flaws in the immigration system. The reputation concerns are on an all-time high. This is a particular news that has been floated around by Financial Post, and we are reading that the Canadian government will have to deal with an immigration system that has lost its shine on an all-time high. They have to focus on attracting US talents. They have to focus on attracting high skilled immigrants. Once again, the express entry system has been strained a lot. The loss of CEC applicants is big, right? Because people or students who have been here for a very, very long time, they do all of this so that they can live here, right? Now, if you tell anybody that, okay, come to Canada, we will not give you what you're looking for, or we'll not let you stay here permanently, people actually lose interest. Not to forget, this was always the case with US. Like US never promised a green card, but still people go there, right? That is because US has other things to offer. They have a very good economy, a large economy to offer. They have very good contracts. It's a product based, R&D based market, right? So people can still get, in terms of earning potential or growing their careers or better jobs, they still get something in return. On the opposite, Canada is a very smaller economy. So if you don't give it's a carrot and stick story, right? If you don't give the immigrants at least a permanent residency, which eventually is a pathway for them to enter the US industry, then how do you expect the market to grow? You're not even giving them PR. You're not giving them a very strong economy to function on. We do have some world's strongest banking financial situations or institutions, but there are other things also attached to it, right? So Canada has to look at renovating or reworking on the immigration system, because honestly Canada cannot survive without immigrants as well. We will do a special report on how, if this whole immigration fiasco suspends or gets suspended, or there is a moratorium altogether, how will Canada survive? That is, I mean, the research I've done personally, and that is not very promising. So Canada, in my opinion, cannot do away with immigration at all. Like, we cannot survive. So that is going to be very, very interesting to see. um US students, on the other hand, are focusing on coming to Canada, and there has been a surge in universities like UBC. If you look at University of Toronto and Waterloo, they're seeing a rise in applications from US students who are trying to come here. More importantly, they get the benefit of being American students as well, so that will be very, very beneficial. UBC Vancouver has shown a potential increase of 27% in US graduates. That's good. That's big. And they are saying that this trend is linked to US cuts federal funding and increased surveillance on international students. If you remember, yesterday's news was specifically related to Harvard, when the federal government has the federal US government has cut off its ties or funding to the tune of almost $60 billion. I will have to look at the numbers once again, but almost $60 billion. And they are trying to uh, the students are trying to move away because of the surveillance and all of that, and people are not really liking it, right? So yeah, this is something that people will choose to have a discussion on. Okay, now before we move over to world immigration, let us quickly have a look at the comments. I believe there are a couple of comments, and then we'll take the larger set of comments towards the end of the video. A couple of questions here. Uh, okay, interesting question. Swandeep, what score can be expected from the educational category? Swandeep, education category is a very new field in terms of category under the express entry draws. We are not too sure, but I'm assuming there will be a lot of education graduates within the system. It's just going to be a wild guess, because right now the bifurcation of the express entry pool does not bifurcate in based on an NOC code. Uh, if I were to guess wildly, I think I'm assuming a cutoff somewhere around 490, because between 490, I mean above 490, you already have a lot of people or teachers here who are already working EC related or education related field, and teachers on the other hand have had their PhDs and masters and all of that sorted. If I were to guess, 490 plus, but that will totally depend upon the draw size, which we don't know, right? So yes, if that helps you. um Good question, Chaudhary Binoy. There is a new rule coming in future which says NOC 2 and 3 and 4 are also eligible for SOW. Is it true? I heard this news from one of my friend. Binoy, just to let you know, they're already eligible. Not 4, but 2 and 3 are already eligible, but only some NOC codes. Even 4 is eligible, only some NOC codes. If you look at the family members of workers in Canada, if you just try to Google this, you'll land up on that, and they'll say that NOC 0 and 1 is blanket approved or eligible, that the principal applicant should be here. And there are exceptions to specific NOC codes of 2, 3, 4, and then the other ones. Have a look at that. That is there. We right now do not have any rumor that in the future that will be eligible or not. I am not able to confirm anything on this, but yes, there are eligibilities going on, but only to specific NOC codes. um, uh, Question related to RCIP and FCIP. Are FCIP draws eligible now? Mohammed, the FCIPs and RCIPs are starting to open up. Today, I believe North Bay opened up. Yesterday, there was announcement, or day before yesterday, there was announcement from the Timmins community as well. So yes, FCIPs will start opening up, and these are not draws that are available on a larger front. You will have to wait and watch. Go on to the FCIP website. The the communities will be holding their draws, and once they do, and then you just apply for a PR. So there is no blanket federal draw that you're waiting for an RCIP and an FCIP. It doesn't follow a draw system per se. There are draws or there are invitations that will happen at a community level. Look at your community website, and the applications will open there. And then once you're approved from the community designation and all of that, once you're approved, then you move over to applying for a PR. So not the traditional express entry route. It's different than that. Sushmita, is 486 a good score in health category? Sushmita, I believe 486 is a good score because not a lot of doctors are there, because the number of doctors are very less in terms of the draw size. More of nurses and all of that. I believe 486 is a decently good score. Also for the other PNPs, if the health draw goes high, then you can be invited by the other PNPs for express entries as well. So that might also be a good to be. 486 is definitely a good one. Okay, Ami has a question. Ami says general score kya aega? So Ami, sorry to be a buster on this. General draws are not expected this year, my friend. There might just be one around the corner, but no. General score, no. But general NOC codes, that means CEC, that is going to be high. I have already discussed that. I am assuming, in my opinion, could be higher in the say 515 levels, 510, 505, going to the lowest, but that will be a good one. And again, good question, Shri. Is 506 a good score in CEC? I believe 506 is, honestly, I want to say that it's a very good score. It is indeed. 506 is a very good score, but you might not just make the cut with CEC. I would say wait for the first CEC draw. We are actually waiting to see the actual impact on, after removal of the job points or the arranged employment points of 50 and 200 points. I believe somewhere around 4, 5, 12, 515 is a decently safe score. 506, we'll have to wait and watch. 506, on the other hand, if the CC score goes high, depending upon what the other provinces are calling, say Ontario Human Capital and all of those, that might just make a cut depending upon what NOC code you're in, right? So that might be one of the things you might want to try. Okay, guys, moving over to the presentation once again, and then we'll take Q&A. So keep on pouring your questions. We will take questions towards the end now. Taking over world immigration now. So, guys, world immigration is our first ever segment that we have introduced. We will be talking about how we've already talked lengths about Canadian immigration. Now, I think it's about time we start exploring a little about the world immigration as well. Not from the perspective of moving there, but also trying to see what's actually going on, right? So, it's always good to be updated, good to have a bullet dose of what to expect. First up, there is a big news for Pakistani nationals. UAE has decided to give entry visa once again for Pakistanis. This allows multiple entries with up to 90 days stays per visit. Guys, UAE, in my opinion, is one of the bigger economies right now. People are really enjoying their time there. We see a lot of videos. Well, I still suspect that UAE government does not allow a lot of bad mouthing on the UAE government, right? So yeah, that could be one reason why we not see any negative videos. Although I haven't been there for a long time, I've only been there as a visitor, but I believe that the market is very nice. The government has done a splendid job in making up its economy. I do want to do a special segment on UAE and the growth of the government, but I mean, I like the market. I like the way they are boosting businesses. With regards to this visa for Pakistanis, I believe no local sponsor is required, no guarantor is required. This is good. You can just put up a 6-month bank statement, a health insurance, and a return ticket. You can go to 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 UAE for 5 years. It's like a 5-year entry visa for up to 90 days per visit, which is very, very nice. They're trying to boost tourism and their business ties with Pakistan, and Pakistani nationals have done a very good job in flourishing, and bringing UAE to a place where it is. I think they've done a very good job, and the economy of UAE has also flourished by accommodating them. And we can obviously see the reciprocal answer by this, right? So this is very, very good. So that's a good news for Pakistani nationals. Australian visa is being overhauled, guys. Australian visa overhaul impact on Indian students. Now, this is big. Now, people generally want to compare Canada with Australia all the time. There are stricter visa refusals regulations that are coming into picture. Enrollment caps are there. The post-study work concerns are already there, and there are challenges for international student, and global implications will be there. Let me just bring you to the specific. Uh, this is Times of India. Yes, nice. Let me just show you. So this is Dreams on Hold. This is, although I don't really enjoy the coverage that is there. I like going through um, the editorials a lot more, but still there. Yes, Dreams on Hold. Indian students are facing the heat on Australia visa overhaul. Now, let me give you a bit of a background on this. If you remember, previously, it's around COVID to 2023. Australia decided to put a state-specific ban of 1 year from Punjab and Gujarat, if I'm not wrong, and that really had a big impact on Australia. And also the Australian PR applications. I can definitely do a good amount of research on this, but getting a PR in that country is also not very easy. So, but they have recently opened a couple of streams, and I think they are working on overhauling the visas, which will bring in more people and not just Indians. Like they're trying to focus on the other countries as well. So this one is good. Another, European Union, there is migration and asylum pact that was announced in 2024 is set to be implemented next year, and we are already seeing the heat of it. Uh, the European Union, including countries like Poland and all the other countries, are now trying to shy away from bringing in loads of people. Now the countries have come together of the European Union, and they are trying to put up stricter measures for asylum seekers, which means um, there are a couple of immediate things that they will be doing. So lesser funding, more secure borders. The borders of the SBS is on an all-time alert. Faster asylum processing. So if they don't think that you are a genuine asylum case, they will do the decision processing on a quicker note and then ask you to leave. And equitable responsibility sharing. That means that they are going to have stricter sharing with the host country. So say for example, from a particular nationality, if somebody is coming trying to claim refuge, they will have quicker turnarounds. If the person is not found to be a valid asylum seeker, the person will be held back. So the person will be sent back. There are about 380,000 illegal crossings in just 2023 by itself. If you compare this number by the illegal crossings in US, you'll find that the illegal crossings of European Union whole put together is less. And this is just the recorded number, right? This is just the illegal crossings that have been recorded. Imagine what kind of illegal recordings, illegal crossings are not even recorded. They go unnoticed. That's a separate thing. They are also trying to focus on the deportation rules per se. They are expecting to take this number to 90 to 20% of deportations of the annual 480,000 deportations that the European Union enforces every year. They are saying that new 2025 laws in European Union are saying that up to 24 months of detention could be seen, and a 20-year ban. This is new. I mean, European Union trying to put a 20-year ban is big news, right? So yes, this is something that we are expecting. Germany is trying to reimpose border checks. Poland considers suspending asylum rights altogether. Denmark's zero asylum policy inspires others. This is how the European Union is learning from each other, and these countries are now promoting more education amongst the own countries itself. So this is, the political pressure is building up in the far right gains in 2024 EU elections. So it is building up, and I believe they are now trying to focus on the things to come in the future. Perfect, guys. So this is what we had as a short presentation from the world section or the world segment of our coverage. But my favorite segment is the next one, which is the special report. Perfect. So, guys, in special report today, we will be covering the future of Canadian immigration if the conservatives come into power. And I know a lot of people have been waiting for this special report ever since we started the live today. Um, Today, what we are going to see is the couple of announcements that Pierre Poilievre and his upcoming candidature has been announced on a couple of valid sources. We have taken into account their own speeches. We have taken into account active news agencies like CTV, CBC, and all the other coverages, all their portals. We did a deep digging on that, and also the own website of conservatives, trying to read through their agenda and trying to bring you a comprehensive view of how conservatives are going to shape the policies of Canadian immigration in the year 2025 and beyond. Uh, Let me tell you, you're in for a big surprise. Okay, so guys, the overall flavor of the conservative power, as we already know, in beyond the last decades of before 2015, was that conservatives are known to drive the country from within. They don't want to focus on a lot of external factors. They want to build the country from within. That might be good, that might be bad, I'm nobody to say, but they focus more on internal building. So this tells us the goal, the flavor of their announcement so far is that they want to reduce the immigration levels to align with the infrastructure capacity. Now, if you look at Mark Carney's announcements, they're also pretty much in similar announcements. Not only that, PPC completely said, I want to put a moratorium on immigration, even spouses of Canadians. So the overall flavor of all the parties is that they want to do less of immigration and more of internal building. They want to focus on the economic needs, housing, healthcare, and border security. So the four pillars of their success of what they've said is that economic needs, for example, doing whatever they have to do in terms of building the economy, for example, international relations, trade, export, whatnot. And then housing, they want to build the infrastructure because of the housing crisis, rising costs of houses, lesser availability of rentals, higher rentals, and more homeless people clearly indicates towards shortage of housing supply. And also, not to forget, they have their own agendas as to how they're going to fight it. Now that is even further interesting to go through if you want to at the end, right? And then lower immigration numbers. So they propose to have, so the conservatives propose to have close to 250,000 permanent residents annually. This is opposed to the 395 liberal target so far, which was imposed in the previous immigration level plan. So they want to reduce it to even further lower of 250,000 permanent residents annually. Not to forget, this is a number of all the landings, including the family members. So this is not, you're not talking about 250,000 ITS. No, this is 250,000 landed people, including asylum seekers, humanitarians, family members, economic programs, pilots, express entry, startup visas and PNPs and whatnot, all put together. And if a family has six people, then that gets reduced from 250,000. They're saying that population growth from 2022 is 3.2%, whereas only 219,942 homes were built. So this is a misbalance. There's a disbalance in the growth of the infrastructure and the growth of the population, which has to be matched. Number of non-permanent residents in the country has also developed. So basically saying that temporary residents in the country has gone up 1.3 million in 2021 to 2.8 million temporary residents in 2024. This big number has put up a strain on people holding assets, foreigners holding assets in the country, foreign companies and companies and individuals owning assets in the country, less availability of rentals. Actually, you know, lesser number of houses or vacant houses, as they call it. And Toronto did put up a tax on that as well. So yes, the conservatives say that we have these agendas in mind, and this is what we're going to fight. And low wage TFWs, which is temporary foreign workers, they want to cut 65,000 of those. Those numbers. They're expecting low wage TFWs, basically low wage LMIAs. They are close to 83,654 in the year 2023. They want to focus on that. So low wage LMIAs is going to be a big blow for the conservatives when they come into power, right? So yeah, I mean, they want to they want to crack down on the low wage numbers, or the low wage, or the foreign worker programs, temporary programs. Now, when we are talking about the crackdown on temporary programs, as cited by the conservatives, they are saying there are a couple of problems in three verticals. One, they want to reform the student program, the study program in Canada, because there are a lot of frauds in the country, and the associated work permits. They want to crack down on that. They also want to put stricter visa rules on temporary visas that are being issued, and they want to introduce fewer number of low wage temporary foreign workers in the country. Impact: reduce pathways to permanent residency. That is what is expected. Now, if you look at the report here, they plan to train 350,000 trades workers, more boots, less suits. This is their agenda. They want to fast track the credential of foreign trained professionals. As we've already seen, their agenda was to, and I believe they pushed it through for Ontario engineers as well. So that is one of them. So they want to reduce, they want to introduce faster recognition of their credentials so that they can be faster on the action on the ground, right? And they want to limit TFWs to sectors like agriculture, prioritize Canadian workers all the way. This is what the Canadians, and like I said, conservatives are known to work out on their approach of building Canada from within, and their approach is pretty much visible on what they're planning to do. This is interesting. Now, if you look at the other agendas of the conservatives, quickly talking about border control, and it is supposed to be an agenda that has been pushed down the throat by the Trump administration as well. That they want to have a very tight border, and 2,000 border agents must be added on the U.S. border and the border control, the CBSA altogether. If you look at the numbers. Um, Deploy surveillance towers, drones, and high powered scanners to make sure that there is lesser number of people who are trying to get into or get out of Canada with the drugs supply and all of that. So Canada conservatives want to focus on that. They want to track deportees and ensure compliance, and also align with the global conservative trends, for example US UK policies. And which brings us to our previous announcement today, that the European Union is already looking at pushing their agenda of 2026 down the throat. So, what if conservatives follow that very strictly? I really want to know what are your comments. Like, do drop in your comments. I want to see what people feel about the conservative government when they come into power, because um, we've all seen the pre-liberal era, pre-2015 era, and we all know that it was one of the lower numbers. Like we did not see the hype of Canadian immigration back in 2015 or before, times before that. The systems were very well organized. The system was very balanced, and liberals came into power. They did their innovative methods, which did work. The Canadian government did a good job in making Canada the widely known Canada it is today. But at the same time, there were quite rough ups, that happened on the way. Talking about conservative style of leadership and what is their agenda with regards to immigration, they want to enforce very strict regulations around asylum and refugees. So the next and the biggest target that Polyev has always said, that we only want to support real refugees. They are pissed off with the way international students are claiming refuge, despite being in the country for several years, and suddenly they say that they want to claim refugee. He will be going against them. Very strict rules, very strict processing. They only want real refugees, and they want to curb all the loopholes of how asylum claims are happening. This could be as simple as, you could claim asylum. I'm just thinking out aloud. You could say that they're trying to claim asylum only if you're in the country, if you're just entering the country for the first time. Otherwise, don't claim, right? They could go to that length as well. Guys, very important to know that, what if, to sum up to see what kind of an impact and the challenges would happen if Polyev comes into power. Benefits, I believe, as per the conservatives plan of action, which is Pierre Polyev, I believe there'll be a very heavy impact on housing in the job market, because overall his agenda is to um, reduce the bureaucracy in terms of making new houses, reduce the tax, and trying to push housing, and also match housing numbers, or the new housing numbers, to the temporary residents and the permanent residents in the country, right? So obviously there will be a very steady growth, and That would eventually mean that more houses are available, easy rentals are available, low rental prices, and decently maintained housing. I don't know how well that can be achieved. It'll require a lot of bureaucracy cuts and tax cuts and whatnot. But yes, this is something that is expected. The next benefit would be jobs, because he's going towards 65,000 or almost 83,000 lower low wage workers. So basically trying to curb the low wage LMIs altogether. I believe that would mean that more trade jobs and all the other jobs are available for Canada, right? So that is something that you can expect. I would just excuse myself for a second. Okay, so these are the couple of benefits. The next bigger benefit, which I think would happen, would be program integrity and very strong borders. So program integrity means the way conservative government is eyeing towards reducing asylums, genuine asylum seekers only, also reducing student fraud, trying to see that the program is adhered to specifically. For example, 50,000 students came to Canada last year and they went missing. So cracking down on them on a program level, on an individual basis level, whether deportations are happening or not, whether stricter border entries are happening or not, all of that will be a bigger benefit to Canada. At the same time, the border security is very important. We need to make sure that Canada is safe. We are immigrants for sure. We are all immigrants, sitting in the country. But at the same time, this is our country. Like, we need to make sure that this is safe. Hence, if conservative comes into power, the government comes into power, Pierre Poilievre says that he will focus on making the borders very very strong. Challenges, if you look at the flip side of this, the challenges that he feels would be um, the potential labor shortage if TFWs go away, if there are a lot of if there are a lot of deportations, or if low wage people are sent back, student numbers are curbed. What would happen to the market? Like, we won't see as easy availability of labor. There'll be very less number of people who will be available to do menial jobs. People, entry level jobs, I don't think there'll be a lot of people left to do it. Also, um, defining Canadian values per se might even spark a debate altogether, right? People might have different thought processes. Who follows what thought process? That there's a lot that might go into picture. Legal and humanitarian pushback on asylum claimants is going to be a big thing to deal with. You might expect humanitarian issues, cases filed in as high as Supreme Court of Canada or even the UNO. And also, another challenge to face would be the Trump administration. The Trump administration has over and over said that they find Pierre Poilievre a hard person to deal with. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it might be a challenge for the conservative government, because at one time we don't want our leaders to fall in suit to please other world leaders, but at the same time we want our leaders to have good international relations as well. Okay, so it has to be a right balance. We don't want them to follow other leaders, but at the same time we want them to develop a very healthy and a very strong relationship as well. So there has to be a very strong uh, balance. And to sum up the report that we have today for you, I believe I can only say a couple of things. A shift towards skilled focus immigration is what his vision is. His vision also emphasizes on infrastructure, security, and integration of the economy, and also response to liberal failure and public concern. This is what Pierre Poilievre is focusing in his campaign. So his agenda nowadays is um, you know is focusing on how liberals failed, and we have seen him bad mouthing the liberal strategies, name calling liberal strategies or liberal candidates. I believe that has now gone less, right? I believe somebody pointed out to him that you should not be name calling, well, not bad mouthing, that's not the right word I used, so pardon me on that. But he did not bad mouth, but he did name call a lot, even in the assembly. You still remember the wacko word that he used over and over again, which got him kicked out of the assembly. He has been infamous for that, right? So yes. Perfect. So, guys, that sums up our presentation for today. We are right on the dot. We were hoping to make 1 hour to the dot, and we are there. This is our last segment where we'll be looking at the questions and answers. We'll see what questions people might have today. So, we will be looking at the Q&A. The last. So, guys, this is us trying to answer your smart questions, your inquisitive questions, your interesting questions. Let's just look at what the comment sections have for us. Okay. Okay, let's take this question by Nova. Super chat. If currently we work for both Canadian employer and remotely for foreign employer and don't show Canadian experience, can I claim points for foreign experience only? Good question. Nova, the answer is not as simple as you think. First of all, hiding any material information in your applications is direct misrepresentation, which means there could be a 5-year ban. So, hiding anything is not an option. But yes, if you want, or if you are considering that you're working on two jobs, say for example, you're working on a Canadian job and a foreign job, and you only want to claim jobs for foreign experience, for example, or maybe for overseas, Canadian experience only, one of the two, then the second job must be put in your personal history. So whatever job you put on your work history, you will get points for that. And for disclosure purposes, so that you're not hiding anything, you're not doing material misrepresentation, or you're not subject to ban, you should put that in your personal history. So that ways you're putting in all the information and then still disclosing and getting points for whatever you want to do that. Please remember, IRCC may ask you very specific questions, that how are you able to do two jobs at the same time. You should have answers to that. It should not look like you're trying to gamify the system or trying to play around with the system. So there is a very thin line between being able to do two jobs, or for example one study and one job, which people would do while they're in over in their overseas countries. Be very smart in trying to answer that question, and do put up an upfront letter of explanation along with that. I hope that helps. uh, okay. Good question. We'll take the super chat. Archana, will NCLC score drop to 6 in Francophone PR program? This is the first time I'm being asked this question. Honestly, I like it. I don't think NCLC might drop to 6, because at the end of the day, um, NCLC 7 means you are a frequent user of that language. That means you are a usual speaker of that language. That is NCLC 7. It's similar to what an IELTS CLB 7 would be. IELTS listening 6, reading 6, writing 6, speaking 6. So NCLC 7 means you're a frequent or a normal user of that language. Um, IRCC is not in any rush to reduce or should be in a rush, because already when they are bringing out draws at Francophone NCLC 7, they already have a lot of candidates. If there is no requirement, why would they drop it? So I don't think this should drop. They already have a program with NCLC 5. You could use the Francophone mobility pathway. That only gives you a work permit. Or with an NCLC 6, you might be able to use the other PNP programs, right? But for the specific PR program of Express Entry, I don't think that will drop. I hope that answers. Um, okay, good question. Shri, I'm an Indian dentist. Can I add 1 year internship from college as my foreign experience to calculate CRS? I believe there are specific requirements. I'm not, if, okay. So Express Entry calculation, points calculation, has two versions of it. Okay. One version is the 6 selection factors version, which is the basic eligibility of the program by itself. And the other one is the CRS calculator, which only talks about the CRS post the eligibility. Okay. If you're talking about CRS calculation only, if your work experience was paid, you had 30 hours, more than 30 hours, then yes, you can calculate internship towards your foreign work experience in terms of establishing the eligibility. And also the other things will come into picture. For example, 1 year CEC to get into CEC or FSW and all of that. But look at the 6 selection factors also, and then try to correlate this. Yes, internship is fine in terms of claiming foreign work experience, as long as you are able to balance your studies and also the internship was genuine and paid and also declared in your permits if you applied for any permit before you came to Canada. I hope that helps. uh Okay. Yadi, why are they not focused on information technology? My friend, they are focused on information technology, but not to the magnitude that they were previously. This is mainly because over the last couple of years, ever since the liberals started pushing immigration, express entry, the early adopters of Canadian immigration or the early movers here up until 2024 were the IT people only. So majorly people or the IT people came here. They were doing their own education. They did their programs and also master's degree, MCAs, MScs, and all of that. They have already been here for a very long time, and now Canada does require a lot of other people in IT, but I think they already have a lot of it. Hence, it is not as much as in demand and the as the other categories are, and now they're trying to balance off with the existing quotas as well. Now they only have say 250,000 spots to fill. If they look at the entire country, there are less number of doctors, there are less number of educators, there are less number of early childhood or support workers. I think in the balance of they need more of those, but they still need IT people, right? So the PNP programs might focus on that. Right now, at least for 2025, under the liberal leadership, they don't have it as a segment, the STEM categories as a segment in demand. This year, it might come back next year. Okay. uh, Yeah, I just answered this question. Do STEM draws will come in the future? Yes, they will come back, at least in the PNPs. We are expecting STEM to come back in the year 2026 at least. Let's see how 2025 shapes out. We're waiting for the elections to get over. And CEC draws have already covered this. I'm personally expecting 515 odd number, 520, 515 to be precise, 512. But yes, this is what I believe. Okay. Mm, let's see what, and let's find a unique question. Mm, mm, okay, I'm a data analyst. Good question, Joseph. I'm a data analyst in the government Ontario government. My current CRS is 507. Any chance for PR? Joseph, STEM is not in demand this year, but I'm still very hopeful with YNP. I'm very surprised YNP has not been holding draws. Like I really want to come face to face with the minister there, and I want to ask them the question. I believe there was a stall or an expo counter that was put up yesterday or day before yesterday at this event, and even that counter was unattended. The OINP counter was there, but nobody was there, and I was waiting to. So Dhruv was there, and I was waiting for him to have a chat with them. But let's see. Harsh, uh, does remote work count as foreign work experience? If I did that when I am in Canada on my work permit, and can I also get Canadian work experience point? Okay, Harsh, you have to understand this properly. You can only get credit for 30 hours per week. Okay, you could work for a company outside Canada, remote work basically, and try to gain points of it, or you could work for a company in Canada. Now you could work for that company while you're in India. That could also be remote work experience. Either way, you cannot get credits of both the jobs. Say for example, you're working in Canada, you're going to your job say 30 hours per week, and you're working at night for a company in India. You cannot get credit of both in the same timeline. So for these 12 months, you can claim one of those, either the foreign or the Canadian, not together, because the limit is using one. Okay. So that's something that you can use it. But yes, you can already be in Canada, work for a US company, or work for an Indian company or a Dubai based company and call it foreign work experience, as long as the job is genuine. Now, genuineness of the job, offer letter, bank transfers, tax payments, all of that has to be genuinely done. And IRCC can come to you asking for proofs. IRCC can asking, nowadays we have seen that asking for email exchange, work schedules, meeting invites. They're going to that length to do a full follow up on how the person was working remotely. Please be sure to do it only if it's a genuine job and you're able to prove it in the future. IRCC can go to any lengths. I've seen Ontario go to any lengths for that matter, right? So yes. Okay, and what are the other questions? So guys, we'll take two more questions. We've already been into this for a very long time. Okay, Arjun, I believe there are people who are saying job offer points are not removed from their files. Any idea about this? Arjun, I haven't really come across a lot of people until last week. The job offer points were removed. I believe there was a shutdown of the Express Entry portal or the GC key yesterday also for 2 hours. I suspect why that happened. I was hoping that there would be a draw, but no. I haven't come across a lot of people who have these issues. But yes, the government did say that it took them a week almost to remove those points, and they're saying that that removal is complete now. I'm not sure if people have are still seeing those points. I believe they can take it up with the, or they could be lucky as well, but they could take up with the call IRCC on their helpline, because that's what they said. Call IRCC on their the helpline and check with them. Right. Um, let's take one last question. Mm, Okay. Is foreign experience only counted for tier 1, 2, and 3 level roles, or does it matter? Yes, Mukul, it does matter. Foreign work experience tier level does matter in terms of getting eligibility under different programs. So there are three broad categories of the program, which is FST, Federal Skilled Trade, FSW, and CEC. Talking about FSW and CEC, tier levels 0, 1, 2, and 3 is allowed. Okay, so that answers your question, and also that is applicable on foreign work experience. If you talk about FST, then of course it will accept tier level 4 and 5, and along with the other eligibility criteria. So look at those, um, those eligibility criterias. But yes, foreign work experience would be counted for tier level 0, 1, 2, and 3, not only to 1, 2, 3, but 0, 1, 2, 3 along with the double O codes. Perfect, guys. It was a lovely day. We did this for the first time, the 1 hour live, and we aim to do this almost every day now. I will be coming live on at 12 p.m. every day between Monday and Friday. And like I said, our segments are very well laid out. We will talk about Canadian immigration updates. The international relations is segment two, where we talk about how Canadian immigration policies are impacted by the world. So that's interesting to know how the world economies are shaping our economy, and any news related to immigrants per se. The third segment, we talk about world immigration. We talk about how all the other world economies or the world immigration programs are going through. And the last one is a special report. Today, we talked about conservatives. Tomorrow, the special report is about liberals. Interesting. I'm waiting to see how liberals are shaping the immigration policies of Canada. Perfect. So, guys, thanks a lot for joining in. My hearty welcome to you, and I hope to see you almost every day. If I am all happy and healthy, and love being here with you. Thanks a lot for joining in, and wish you all the best. And I hope to see you soon in Canada. All the best.